I do actually.
So I don't because I have stories with Bitcoin. I have some stories with Bitcoin. So it's one of those things that we have a love-hate relationship because I got into it without really understanding it. Now I get it a lot more. And I got lucky the first time, and the second time it didn't do well. And interestingly, my partner also invested in Ethereum, which is an alternative cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
And he invested in it at one of the peaks, around 2018, there was another huge up with crypto, and there's a huge spike, and I think at that time Bitcoin was about $20,000 for one Bitcoin, and he decided to buy Ethereum because it was like the less popular one, and the price stayed, and he bought it at 350 pounds, one Ethereum coin, and the price stayed at that 350 pounds for 2 years. So I think something else to know about these investments is that sometimes you do need to have, I don't know if I want to call it a long-term view, but you do need to be able to wait it out to really get the advantages here. So it's not a make money overnight type thing. The people who do make the most money have been there for a long, long time, So that's just something to say. But yes, there is a video on cryptocurrency. It's on your YouTube page.
It is. I will share it. I'll come back and share it to the person who's asking. So we'll share the link.
Okay. We have another question on YouTube from Utah. I'd love to find out how to maximize the employer retirement fund. It's something I hear a lot in the US, but how can we do it here in Kenya and start early? That's a great question.
That's a great question. So that's really about pension. So what happens for those who've heard the question and don't understand what the question is about? The question is regarding when you are employed, how can you take advantage of the opportunity to save for your retirement using a pension savings account? So a lot of employers, not all of them, but many of them, even as they pay your salary, will take a small percentage, about 5-6% towards a retirement account called a pension account. And what happens is then you would match that account with another 6%. So you contribute 6% and your employer matches about 6%. And like literally from the word go, before you've even invested, you've already made 100% on your money. And then you invest it, and the pension companies that they sign up with then invest that money. So a lot of people are usually like, oh my gosh, the return is so low. Last year we got 5%. That's less than inflation. But in reality, you've actually doubled your money because your employer is contributing the exact same amount as you. In fact, there are companies, Val, in this country that contribute 1.5 times. There's even one I have heard of when you're over the age of 40, Kenyan company, they double your contribution.
Wow.
2 times. And they still struggle to convince employees to contribute.
I mean, it's free money, really. And I think, pension for me is one of the things that's a no-brainer, because on top of that, it's also tax-free until a certain amount, right? So
yes,
it's truly a no.
So it's tax-free. You also get a tax relief on the tax that you pay, so a discount on the tax that you pay. So if you can get your employer to match, please go ahead and set up a pension account. The other thing is that beyond that, if your employer doesn't do it, it's okay to also just begin your own individual account, because it's a forced saving and it's not an insurance policy you're taking. It's just a forced saving. Even if the return you get is 8%, it's fine, because when you do get to retirement age, first of all, you're getting the benefit of less tax. And when you get to retirement age, then you have all this money that then you can decide what to do with it, besides all the other different investment opportunities you've been looking after. So just to answer her, there's opportunities here. There's different companies that offer it. There's many insurance companies that offer it. My suggestion would be, instead of going directly to an insurance company, perhaps consider going to a pension administrator. People like Zamara, Octagon, N-Wealth, those are examples of pension administrators who work with various insurance companies, because they will not be trying to sell you something. They will listen to what your needs are, and then they'll be able to see which offering matches your needs. I find that that's an easier way to go, and then you're sure that you're getting the best option, as opposed to having a sales agent sell you something that you don't need. Yeah.
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 And you can find out who the administrators are on the Retirement Benefit Authority website, right? On the RBA website. So you'll be able to find a list of everyone that you can talk to when it comes to pensions. But yeah, it's a no-brainer. It's something that you should definitely negotiate as you start new jobs, even in your current job. Find out how much more your match can be if that's something that you can negotiate, and make sure that you're actually doing this. It's a life hack, really.
Yeah.
Martin Y from YouTube asks, what should we expect in the course?
Okay. Yay, I like the question. Thank you for asking the question, Martin.
Thank you, Martin.
So what to expect in the course? So the course is, so first of all, it has 5 modules or 5 chapters. It'll take about 5 weeks for you to do. And so we begin from the basics of, where do you start? How do you think about your big why? And why is it important to think about your big why? A lot of times people are like, oh my gosh, I'm really struggling to become financially disciplined. And I'm struggling with this thing that I've been trying to do for a long time. And the reason we struggle is because we don't quite know what our big why is. And so we go through exercises where you discover your why, your values, and then from there move into looking at how can you actually invest and think about investing based on your goals. So what are the goals? We have a tool to help you figure out what those goals are in a systematic manner. So it's a great framework to think through your goals so that you don't miss out on anything. And then from there, we take you through the different assets, right? The asset classes. What cash and cash-like assets exist for my basic investments? What stocks and how do stocks work? What are the red flags to watch out for? How do I invest? What are bonds? What are corporate bonds? What are commercial bonds? Where can I get them? How do I apply? How do I get a treasury bond, for example? I did a video on treasury bonds and everyone was like, oh my gosh, is it that simple? It's that simple. Yeah. And we give now the detail of the how, including links of where you can download the form. We have downloadable documents or ebooks that you read deeper into the different subjects. And then we have bonus content as well. For this class that's beginning, we have bonus content around real estate. So we have an interview with a real estate expert on how do you take advantage of low to middle income real estate opportunities and how can you start with not so much money and just what to watch out for, how to buy on plan and things like that. We also have another bonus that we have is every week I will have sessions with with a group of people who will be signing on, where we'll delve deeper into each concept. I'll answer questions on each of the questions that they have. And so one of the things that I love, which is the last bonus I'll talk about, is the case studies. Because the case studies make it so practical. We're not just defining assets, because you can Google and find out what those are, but actually looking at how do you apply them. And in a scenario that is relatable, that somebody has actually experienced. So we've taken 3 case studies looking at different personalities and their situations and created solutions for them. And that makes it really, really practical. So we go down into detail. We make it very practical, simple as well. It's not, we use stories. It's not just this share is, we go into,
the dictionary.
People understand. What's that?
It's not the dictionary.
It's not a dictionary. It's not. Yeah. And so what to expect is that by the time you're done with this course, you will be filled with confidence to actually be able to take control of your finances and just have the confidence to know who to call, what to ask for, the fact that you can negotiate. When you're confident about being able to invest, it changes your perspective. It changes the way you relate with a sales agent across the table, whether that's a stockbroker, an investment banker, an insurance agent. You know what you're looking for. You know what red flags to watch out for. And so those are the things that we will equip you with. And so by the time you're done with the course, then you'll be able to invest fairly easily in whatever options that you want to, with a clear framework, not guessing and following the crowd.
Yeah. And then I think one of the best things about this is that it's online, so you can really do it at your own time. You don't have to be in class at a certain time to do it. You have access to it forever. So if things change, maybe you have kids or you get married or something, you move to a bigger house, then you're able to take the course again and ask yourself, are the answers still the same? Which to me is extremely valuable.
Exactly. Yeah, the lifetime access is also something that's great.
I hope that answers your question, Martin. And we have another question from YouTube from Sarah. It says, if you hear it in the news, you've missed the bus, but where do you get this information beforehand? I think that's a great question. Yeah.
Where do you think she should get the information, Val, before I say mine?
So for me, I think that the key is in actually focusing a little bit. So once you figure out what your investment strategy is and you say, okay, I invest in bonds and I invest in shares and I invest in, I don't know, gold, those three things, then you're able to narrow down the amount of information you need to consume, and you're able to find the right places to find this info. So for example, if you decide you want to invest in bonds, then you discover that, in Kenya, for example, we have a bond every month. So you know that every month you need to be checking the CBK website, or you can ask your stockbroker to send you this information on this specific thing. So you're not cluttered by information, and you're not only seeing things that are headlines. I guess that's the caveat I should have said. So if you're seeing it as a headline, then you missed the bus. But yes, the news is still a place to get the right information, but it's so much easier when you focus, because you can create systems around you that help you find information about that specific asset class. And I think that's where we're trying to get, that's kind of where we're trying to get you, where you know what you're looking for.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And also networking. I think, and when I mean networking, it's with people who are, have their ear on the ground on what's happening, they have their pulse. So like, for example, if you decide that you're investing in stocks, right, and you're investing in different markets in stocks, it's the information out there is so overwhelming that it's difficult to decipher and think through which ones are they, the small cap stocks, or which ones should I go for. But when you talk to analysts and decide these are the people that I will trust, or you can decide, what, I'm going to sign up for a Google finance account and pay them whatever it is I need to pay, and just consume that content only and decide who you will listen to. If it's stocks in Kenya, for example, you would then decide, okay, these are the three people who are in stocks. This one is an investor, this one is an analyst, and this other one is probably another analyst with another broker, that you can just call and say, what do you guys think about this? Am I seeing something here, or am I dreaming? And keep in constant communication with people in the industry, because that way then you get to know what's happening, what changes are taking place, what government regulations are coming into play, what's being discussed that have an impact on your investment. So the thing with investing is that you can't sort of take a laid back view on it, especially when you want to be able to invest well. And so I love what you said, Val. You can't invest in everything, because how will you know where the opportunities lie? And I remember, some time ago, I decided, what, I want to invest in real estate, but I can't go and look at a real estate project and be like, that's the one I want when it's complete. I want to be able to get it at a really good price. Mm-hmm. And how do I get it at a good price? Look for developers. And so I started a journey looking for who can I trust that I can walk a journey with. And so I went around and decided on this particular investor in real estate, a developer, because I had seen track record, and sat with them and told them what my goals are. And they were like, okay, I'm small compared to the kind of stuff they do, but I was like, would you mind walking this journey with me? And you'll be amazed at how much people are willing to work with others. Yeah. And so I shared, when you're having your next project, please let me know so that I can come right in with you early enough. And do you know that from the beginning, he said, what, don't worry about it. I've actually identified the land. This is where it is. As soon as I've figured out what project I'm going to do, I'll let you know. And so he got in touch with me and said, somebody's going to call you. This we've actually decided. And so they decided they were going to do some apartments, 2 bedrooms. And he said the early bird price is 6 million shillings. And I was like, okay, that's fine. But what's the return expected from rent? And they said, when we look around the area, the rental ranges between 50,000 and 60,000 shillings. And I was like, you know what? A 9 to 10% return yield on real estate, and it's not too bad. And so now the rents have gone to 60. The unit is not yet complete; it's almost complete. I spent 80, but 6 million, and right now it's 8.5 if you want to buy. So I've already made a return because of just going in a little early. So of course I took risk, but how would I have known if I was just reading the newspaper or just sitting at my corner reading a textbook about how to, I mean, you have to talk to people who are in that area that you want to be able to invest in. So networking is important.
And I want to just bring out, I mean, a reality of being an investor. How long did that process take for you to find the developer, to find one you trust, to even do that first investment? What was the timeline like?
Yeah, probably about 6 months.
Yeah.
Before investing, the background work. Yeah.
And I think it's something that we should keep in mind, that, you know, investments don't happen, you know, overnight. It takes time. You know, you have to put in some time, and it's so useful to have that knowledge to back you up so that you know that you're going sort of in the right direction. Because imagine if you spend 6 months on the wrong thing and then you get conned. It's so bad.
Depressing. And it happens.
It does.
It happens. Yeah.
Okay, we have lots of questions. Let me pick one from Facebook. Okay. So we have one from Tony from Facebook that says, investing in our children's future. Since education is expensive, what are some of the avenues or places we can save money into? For this goal?
For education for the children?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's still within the same, which is what we're calling life enhancing goals. These are the goals where you want to maintain your standard of living for the foreseeable future. And it would be things like stocks, like treasury bonds, things like corporate bonds. And the stocks don't necessarily just have to be Kenyan stocks. They can be global, I mean, from anywhere. You know, so even real estate, I think, is a great opportunity, because what you could decide to do is take your time, find a real estate opportunity that will give you rental income, and that rental income can go towards paying tuition fees or maintenance fees for the kids. So all those can go towards that.
Yeah, I've definitely seen families that have a really interesting approach to investing. I've seen families where they start building when the child is born, and that's what school fees till university. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Yeah. I mean, you do require quite a lot of capital, but you know, that's one way to go. Yeah. We have.
Let me say something about that also, Val. Sorry, I just remembered. Now, a lot of people decide to put money in an education policy, which is an insurance policy. There's nothing wrong with that, putting the money in an insurance policy. I just need to mention, the reason you put it in an insurance policy is to manage risk. It's to manage risk. And so what happens is, I want to ensure that if something happened to me as a parent and I died, for example, then I want to ensure that my children get that education that I want them to do. But that shouldn't be my plan. Do you understand what I mean? Like, that shouldn't be the only plan that I have, that I will save. In fact, let me get another policy and another policy and another policy. Why? Insurance has a cost. And so then it drains the potential return, the opportunity that you're investing in could, you know, end up with. And so that cost is really to manage risk, but not as the plan to manage and pay for my education, my children's education. So that you should do other things, but the insurance policy, which is an education policy, is a risk management tool.
A backup plan.
Yeah, backup plan.
Yeah, and I think it's useful for people to also figure out what types of insurance they have, because sometimes you're double insuring. And so you end up in a situation where you didn't have to put away that amount every single month. So, like, for example, if you have, you know, life and disability insurance, and also that covers, you know, future income for a long time, and your income could possibly cover education, then you don't need an education policy, for example. It doesn't happen often, but it's important not to double insure the same risk because it's not a great use of money. Let's see what other questions we have. There are some questions that are very specific to specific stocks, which I'm not sure we want to answer today.
Like, should I buy ABSA? Something like that?
Yes.
Let me just make a comment. You see, this video is going to go up, and so we cannot give advice like that because it's going to stay for a long time. So I'd be happy to advise those people. They can send an email to info@fib.co.ke if you want to know what stocks to buy, how to invest in stocks specifically, and you're wondering which stock. We'll put it down. Actually, it should be down now on the screen, info@fib.co.ke. And we will be happy to help you choose which stock to buy. And we have research analysts available to help you. So we won't answer it on the video, but we will answer it to you in person. Yeah.
Fantastic. We have a question from, we already answered the education policy question. That's great. And then we have a question from SC Malaika that says, does it make sense to have a money market fund if you reside abroad, for example, outside of Kenya?
I'm not sure I follow.
So you live like for example, I live in Canada. Yeah. Does it make sense for me to have a money market fund in Kenya? And I can give my perspective.
Oh, she means in Kenya. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I think that's what she means. Yeah. So I'll answer that question from two perspectives. So when I think about my emergency fund, I know that one of my goals is to move back home. So I'm definitely building a nest egg in Kenya. And then I also want to be able to have money accessible to me in Kenya because that's where I'm a citizen. So if anything was to happen to me out here, I can't have all my money here. So that's sort of one of the risks that I'm trying to manage. And so for that reason, I have a portion of my emergency fund in Kenya, and it's with a money market fund. But if you are a Kenyan who's decided, your life is in some other place and you live there and you don't have any plans to move back, you don't have ties, you don't have any dependents and that kind of thing, then you have to really consider the currency risk, because if you earn in, let's say, US dollars, you spend in US dollars, everything you do is in US dollars, then why take, this additional risk of Kenyan shillings? And if you are going to take that risk, I don't think a money market fund is the best way to do it. There are other more efficient ways to invest in a different currency. So I would just think about, it goes back to what are your goals? What are you trying to achieve, right? And so what instrument makes the most sense for you?
Let me make a comment there. I once spoke to a professional footballer who was my client, and he was wondering how to manage his dependents. So he lived out of the country and had dependents in Kenya. And he's like, by the way, I keep sending money. I'm like, you know what, listen, it's okay to send money, but open a money market fund account and just keep funding it every time that is convenient to you, so that it's not just for needs and it's all the time you're sending through Wave and all these different apps. So that then it doesn't cost you very much. You're doing one transfer, and you're also saving, and it's earning an interest. And so when mom, sister, brother, son says, I need money, then you're not paying from the country you're in. You're actually just sending an email to the money market fund, the asset management company that holds the money market fund, to your account in Kenya, and from there then you can distribute the money as you please, because the money is earning an interest. So those who have dependents in their home country, I think it's a great way to have an emergency fund to manage that those dependents.
Yeah, I mean, if you do business, if you spend in that currency, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. To have both. Okay, so we have a question from YouTube from Johari.
Okay.
What topics will be covered for someone knowledgeable in finance and investments? Can one take specific topics and pay partially for areas covered?
So no, I think they will be pleasantly surprised by doing the whole thing, because I have been on this journey for, like I said, 17, so coming on 18 years this year. And the truth is that I have been learning so much about the way that I invest. I mean, 10 years ago, I knew what a stock was. I knew what a bond is. 15 years ago, I knew what a bond was, and I knew I could define them. I knew what they were. I was advising clients. I am a financial professional. I did finance in school. But Val, the ability to understand and think through my values and what's important to me, and come to a point of not doing something because Samantha and Elizabeth are doing and they look great, things that are behavioral. I love what Dave Ramsey says. He says, success in your personal finances is 20% knowledge, 80% behavior.
Yeah.
So a lot of what we do on the course and on the program is actually in that sort of formula. It's more to do with behavior and understanding why am I making the decisions that I am making, and why should I be doing what I want to do, and what's my big why, and then making the investment decision. So you might know what they are and how they work, but you don't know how to apply them. And I'm not saying that's the situation for this gentleman. I'm just answering generally that well, the answer is no. We don't have segments for this particular course. You would need to take it from the beginning to the end. It's not very long. It's just really 5 modules. And you can pace yourself, and within 5 weeks or less, you can actually be done with the course.
Yeah. And I mean, I have to add to that, I also used to think I knew everything when it comes to investments. But when you look at your portfolio in action, this is what I earned and this is what my portfolio is today. A lot of times when you don't know your goals and you don't know why you're doing the thing, you're very haphazard and you're kind of just, going with the motions. And it's, like you said, I think it will be very surprising, even for those who have a background in finance, in investments, in business, in, anything really, because we just don't have that systematic information available for us. And that's where we're here today. I think we'll take the last question because we're kind of running out of time. Let's see. What is we've answered this question a couple of times before, but I'll ask it anyway. So we have from YouTube, the Shirley Crew. What's the minimum amount you need to buy bonds, and do you include money earned as interest when filing your annual tax returns?
Okay, that's a great one. So the minimum amount that you need to invest in bonds is 50,000 shillings. Mm-hmm. However, for infrastructure bonds that are tax-free, the minimum is 100,000 shillings. Now, the interest that you earn is paid to you already less the withholding tax for regular bonds. And so the thing about the bonds and the interest that you earn from financial investments that are approved by the government is that it's a final, that tax, the withholding tax of 10% or 15%, depending on the bond, is actually final tax. There's no other tax to be paid. And so you don't need to look for a P9 form and fill it out when you're doing your tax returns. It's a final tax, so you ignore it. You don't need to file that in your returns.
Thank you. We've gotten a lot of questions like that. How do I invest specifically in bonds? What's better between stocks and a money market fund? I'm 20. What does an balanced portfolio
Sign up for the class. Sign up for the class. All that information is there, like the how-to steps, number 1, number 2, the link. Here's the form. Here's everything is on the course. Everything is on the course. It's really
there. Yeah. It's so comprehensive, guys. Like, we really, really get detailed into even showing you what that form for the government bond looks like, what to put where, it's quite detailed. So really, if you're curious about what to do with your investments, how to invest, and even figuring out what those goals could be, because the problem sometimes is even you don't know why, what you're doing with your money really, right? So getting those goals into perspective, quantifying them, making them real, and tying them to you and your beliefs and your values is where we'll start. And where we'll end is you'll have a very clear idea of which one do you want to go for, which one has a higher return, and you'll have a very, very clear investment strategy at the end of it all. So as we wrap up, Rina, any parting shots?
I think that I would just say that this course, the honest truth is there's nothing else like it. I know there's many other programs out there, both local and international, but the honest truth is there's nothing else out there like it. And we have been here for a long time working on it. And, both our backgrounds for Africa's Pocket and MoneyWise have been on this journey for such a long time. And so we have a wealth of experience, and we will both be available to answer any questions that people have throughout the program. It's not an online program that we're sticking there and here it is, take care, bye. No, we're walking with you. And even the model which we're using will ensure that there's accountability, that you finish, and that you actually end up with that plan. And if anybody has any questions, we on the screen right now, there's actually our contact You can also call us or WhatsApp us, and we'll be able to get back to you with more information. In fact, beginning this week, Val and I will be doing a lot of communication around this program, and so you're seeing a lot of information. The other thing is we have a link that we are posting, I think right about now. Either Koi or Alice will post it on the YouTube, on Facebook, where you can download a free blueprint on investing. And so we give highlights, but on that blueprint, there is a clickable link that says join the waitlist. My parting shot is please join this waitlist so that you get to know exactly what we're talking about. We will send you emails to give you more information on what the course is about. We'll help you also understand the journey that others have walked with us to be able to get to where they are now. And you will get as much information as possible so that you can make the final decision. And we really hope to see all of you there. The 25th of March is when we open. And so we are so excited to be here. Thank you so much, Val, for joining me on this call. And thank you, everyone, for taking the time out of your evenings for joining us. I really, really appreciate it. God bless you guys.
Thank you and good night.